Hey guys, it's Jeff Lavery, owner of the Junkyard Find 1986 Mercedes-Benz 190E 2.3-16 valve Cosworth. It's a lot to say, but this is also a really special car. It's limited production, has racing heritage, and last time I checked, the values continue to tick upwards. So I figured it was worth taking a chance on it. I mentioned in the last video, despite some of the obvious flaws it already has. It has rust, it doesn't run, back windows are smashed out. Parts have been removed from the car because it was sitting in a salvage yard for a few years. But as I've gotten further into it, I'm finding less and less to worry about. But I'm going to show you some of the uglier parts of this car, from some of the other rust I didn't show you last time to some of the things missing in the engine bay that I'm still trying to track down, because it turns out, even though a lot of the big stuff was here, there are some little parts that are still, not end of the world stuff, but really hard to find. So I'm going to grab that camera. We'll take a walk around the 16 valve. So here she is in all her rusty, faded glory. The 16 valve, as I mentioned, does have a fair amount of cosmetic issues in the form of fading clear coat and rust bubbling up in a number of different areas. But I'm going to hop under the hood real quick and show you a couple of things that I'm trying to track down right now. So one of the things I knew about this car before I got it was that the radiator had been removed. I didn't think this was the end of the world thing. Radiators are pretty common parts. It turns out the 16 valve actually has a unique radiator, and that's because, partly because it has this airbox induction apparatus here. So this is your traditional air filter housing, but it also comes with some additional ductwork that gives it a little bit of a cold air intake type feel, if you will. So anyway, long story short, that resulted in the radiator being a bit less wide, more narrow, bit taller, in order for all of that assembly to fit, which, as you can see, is actually partially missing. But in any case, the radiator was specific to this car and is no longer made. So I actually found a radiator in the UK, it's an aftermarket one, but it checks out to be the correct one for this car, which would require it to be for a manual transmission with air conditioning. So I lucked out pretty early in the game in finding one of those. I just need to get it here. One of the other things in the radiator area is that there was a radiator shroud, again, unique to this radiator, that I suspect was destroyed when the salvage yard removed the original one. So, also looking for one of those at the moment. Now, if you travel over here, I was hoping to throw a battery in and just start playing with electronics, see what comes on, see what doesn't work. But when the yard was, pulling the car apart for inventory, they cut the positive battery cable. So right now I'm waiting on a complete positive cable assembly to come from Germany, the only place I could find one, and it's still probably a few weeks out from getting here. Some other interesting things, I had speculated a few times that this was a European delivery car. This is a Euro spec horn. It didn't come standard as far as I know, because it had these horns down here, which were standard US spec. This is something of a higher end item. It's a huge horn, very heavy, and I believe it's called a Europa horn. And I checked out the part numbers, didn't really add any clarity to the issue, but something else interesting, because I don't really know why else they would have a third horn assembly sitting up there, unless it's something that I'm completely misreading and is tied to an alarm system or what have you. Other things you notice here, the hood insulation pad is gone. Thankfully, those are still available new. The fact that you can see the garage floor through here means the under tray assembly that these cars came with is also gone. And then you get up here, you just see, little detail things as far as that stripping is torn. You can see people have been putting electrical tape on some of the connectors that I'm guessing are tied to the windshield wiper system. So definitely some hack repairs that have happened over the years. So let's keep walking. You can see here, I'll get into this in another episode, some of the parts I've been picking up, which largely consist of a spare body kit that I didn't necessarily need. Well, I needed some of it. I didn't need all of it, but I definitely needed some of it. And right now, I'm working on getting these door panels back together. All the clips were ripped out when they pulled these 16 valve specific door panels out to snag the window regulators. So I've got to reattach these clips, of which I have almost all the ones I need. I'm actually short one that I didn't find in the car. So that'll be a project at some point. And this panel really got manhandled. You can see they they pulled it right apart. They were a bit gentler with the other one. So at some point, that might need more reconstruction than I'm aware of, because I mean, even you can see this whole board back here appears to be broken. So yeah, we'll have to see if we can restore that in a cost-effective manner. I wanted to take you in here, show you some of the other rust that I didn't detail last time, which is right down through here. You can see, you can't really see right now. I'll just move this box out of the way, and maybe you can see where the... Now, it's kind of hard to see because we have a dark... But you kind of right down in here, you can't really tell, but I've got some carpeting underneath the car, and that's a hole right through the bottom floor underneath the passenger side rear seat. So that's something that'll have to be addressed at some point. And some of the other rust is a little bit harder to show you, but I'm going to try. We go back here to the back of the car. Obviously, I showed you this rear panel and some of the rust that exists there. But then you can go... So here's some of the other rust I was talking about. This is basically right around where the body kit comes into the body. And you can see that this rear piece of aero or rear skirt has probably just been helping water collect right underneath where it connected to the body for quite some time. So I imagine this will have to be cut out and repaired. And I've actually seen other 190s with that exact spot, you know, with some quick metal work performed. So that's something we'll have to look at. As you can see, other things are quite rusty as far as various lines and mounts and whatnot. So I'm anticipating having to do a pretty full refresh back here. So we'll move this light down, and you can see that this pattern of rust in that particular area continues down here as well on the other side. Let's see if I can aim this up here. It doesn't look too bad until you kind of get over here to the extreme right side. And hold the camera there and bring some additional light over. Let's see if we can't illuminate some of this ugliness. Still kind of hard to see, but you get the picture. Basically, it's the same story over here, where you know, I don't know if it's just due to this rear skirt, or if there's also some ugliness associated with what I suspect to be a rear end impact that was poorly repaired at one point in time. You know, something else I noticed is that the spare tire well has a bit of a dent to it. You can see that here, which, you know, I don't know if, I think right now it's actually causing the spare tire to sit a little bit higher than it should. So that's something else that we're going to have to potentially deal with. I don't think it's anything I'm worried about in the short term, simply because I don't think it really, you know, for what this car will be used for, which is very sparing, you know, limited use, I'm not really worried about just how much this affected the integrity of it. It's something we can deal with someday, certainly, but I more want to deal with the areas of actual rust and rot first. You can see a little bit more there, that's blistering through, before I start kind of diving into the more of the cosmetic fixes, purely cosmetic fixes, as opposed to stopping rust before it gets any worse. So that's the back of the car. We'll take a look at some of the other areas next. Oh, look at that. That's not pretty. This is on the where the side skirt meets the back driver's side door. So this is the floor that is just behind this side skirt. As you get under there, you can see pretty clearly that's going to need to be patched at some point. And you know, I've read that these are typical rust areas for the 190 as it is, but then when you factor in the fact that this this side skirt has just been, you know, kind of sitting here allowing dust and dirt to collect for years and years and years, that doesn't help matters at all. So that's another area we got to tackle. and then I'm going to show you one more, and we'll wrap it up for tonight. Here's one of the other really probably the worst areas right now. This is the bottom edge of the driver's side fender, and it's right again where the fender meets that the edge of that side skirt. So this fender is pretty solid overall, but that amount of corrosion coupled with some very light bubbling, you can see here behind that fender flare. I think we're going to have to just replace this whole fender. Now, the only real difference with a 16-valve fender is they come pre-drilled for this fender flare, but that's not a big deal to drill one of those out. And even better news that one of the parts I've already acquired is a very nice rust-free smoked silver fender I picked up from a salvage yard in Connecticut a few weeks ago. I've already temporarily placed the side skirt on there. And you can also see in here, if we're looking at other parts, these are my replacement window regulators that I'm hoping are functional, as the yard that I bought them from promised me they were. So, like I said, that will eventually, someday, replace that rusty driver's side fender that you can see over there, and is, could be repaired, I'm sure, but it's a lot more cost effective just to pull that fender off and replace it. So there is rust on the other side. It's pretty identical to what I just showed you on this side of the 190, but again, for a northeastern car that's been in a junkyard for several years, it's not all that bad. I know some of you in the southern states are probably like, you gotta be kidding me, that car is loaded with rust, but I can guarantee you everybody who's from the Northeast has seen far, far worse. So, in any case, that's a quick update for now, and we'll be diving into some of the spares we're picking up, and hopefully that replacement battery cable gets here soon, so we can dive into that as well. But I'm gonna wrap up here. Thanks for watching, and we will see you again in a few days with another update on the junkyard Mercedes Cosworth. Thanks, guys. See ya. Hey, guys. Well, thanks for joining us on this latest installment of the Junkyard Rescue Mercedes 190E 2.3-16 valve. As you can see, it's got plenty of areas of concern, plenty of areas where we'll need to do some more work than we ever really want to do. But I still stand by my belief that it could have been a lot worse than expected. But really, we'll know how we feel once we find out if this car will turn over or not. Which is still a few weeks away, but I guarantee you we will capture that on video and share it with all of our viewers. And I'd encourage you to hit the like button, become a subscriber of the channel, and certainly check out the full-length article on barnfinds.com for even more detail beyond what I talked about here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys soon.